Today on CityCast Denver, TikTok. Is it for fun or to be feared? The city of Denver banned the app from government-owned devices this week. So me, producer Paul Caroli, and newsletter editor Adrian Gonzalez are digging into Denver TikTok and all the other stories that mattered this week. Oh, and a programming note. We're taking a day off for President's Day on Monday, so please enjoy a couple more mayoral candidate interviews over the long weekend, and we'll be back on Tuesday. Today is Friday, February 17th, 2023. I'm Erin O'Toole, and here's what Denver's talking about. Welcome back to CityCast Denver, the show about the city that is a top destination in the country for bachelorette parties.
Okay. I saw this list.
We famous.
Can't just say top. We have to say where and what beat us. We have to get into this list. Do you have the link? Can we share this around?
Yeah. Okay. Here you go.
Okay. So here we are. The list is in 2023's best bachelorette party destinations. Denver comes in at number 12. Behind Orlando? Orlando? Is that like Disney World?
Yeah, that's Disney World.
Chicago? Okay. Not this time of year. I'd rather be in Denver.
Agreed. Look, this is based on how many spots for nightlife, restaurants, hotels, wineries. I feel like Denver is probably getting dinged on the wineries.
Yeah, we don't have great wineries.
Yeah.
We have a couple of urban wineries. Infinite Monkey Theorem, you ever been there?
No. Good.
It's all right.
Okay. I like that spot.
All right.
They have good events, decent wine. I just like a good can of wine. I love how mathematical this entire list is. And my favorite little caveat here is that they rated every city on resting and relaxing rank. And we came in under Las Vegas. Las Vegas has a better resting and relaxing rank than we do, which to me sounds crazy.
That makes no sense.
Yeah, I don't get that.
Yeah, you can't.
I don't like that.
You can't even get off your feet in Las Vegas. I mean, you're just walking around. So,
here's another one. Staying safe rank, 181. We have a terrible staying safe rank. Maybe that's a question for these mayoral candidates is what are you going to do to make our bachelorette parties feel safer?
New York has a better staying safe rank. I feel like I've been peed on in the subway every time I'm in New York.
Every time. Maybe we need to send this to all of the mayoral candidates to get their take. Just in case you're curious, they ranked 200 cities. Denver came in 12th. What I think is hilarious is that Thornton came in a 5-way tie for last. Thornton,
Colorado?
Yes.
5-way tie for last? And that seems right.
I mean,
that's fine.
It's based on the lack of wineries.
No problem with that.
No issue with that.
Paul, would you ever plan a wedding or bachelorette party based on a list like this?
Maybe. I don't know.
I think Paul's looking for the best heart-shaped pizza rank to plan his wedding party.
True. In which case, I think that should bump Denver up. They're looking at the wrong criteria.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I want to add another grain of salt here, which is that this survey by Law and Love also calls February National Wedding Month. That seems wrong.
February? That's not right.
Nope. I think it's June.
That's a destination wedding month, February.
Yeah, that is total BS. But other than that, this seems like a pretty solid list. Normally these things are just junk, just press release junk. But this one, they crunch the numbers. I like that.
It's very scientific.
Yeah.
We'll drop a link in the show notes in case you're curious yourself. But let's get into it right now. It's Friday, which means we're talking about the big stories of the week. We're at Westward. I'm Erin O'Toole. Bree Davies is still out. She's going to be back soon. I'm here with newsletter editor Adrian Gonzalez. Hello.
Good morning. Good morning.
And I'm here with amateur curling wannabe.
Amateur curling one. Actually, no, that is fair and accurate.
Are there professionals? Are there professionals? I don't know.
I've seen them on TV.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. They probably don't get paid a lot. It's probably a part-time job.
Our producer, Paul Caroli, is here. Paul, good morning.
Hey, Aaron. Hey, Adrian.
Good morning.
We do have a lot to get to, but before we do, I just want to talk a little bit about the episode that ran Thursday morning about this black ranching family in El Paso County, because it is just a jaw dropper of a story.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, after we did this interview like Wednesday, late afternoon, Kind of a last minute thing, but it's a story we've been following on and off. It's kind of a viral moment. It's one of these stories that was really hard to track. But then after talking to Portia Prescott, it stuck with me what was happening. And it just felt like more complicated. And the more I read and the more I talked to people and heard about this, I just am still really not sure. I'm less sure than ever about what started this conflict between this couple, Nicole and Courtney Mallory. And it seems like the whole rest of the town of Yoder and the El Paso County Sheriff's Department. Adrian, what do you think about this?
It's complicated. I had the same experience because I saw it on TikTok. It was going viral on TikTok a little bit ago.
Interesting.
Which is where I originally found it. But then looking at all the details, some of the stories that have come out, some of the police rebuttal that we saw earlier this week, it's complicated, man. I think it's a lot deeper, and ranching life is a whole other thing to me.
Yeah, the El Paso County Sheriff's Department, we didn't talk about this in the episode. Portia Prescott responded to it, but they had a press conference earlier this week where they just laid out their case responding to these allegations of racism that, I mean, it's a very detailed presentation. I mean, it's hard to argue with some of this stuff. They have body camera footage. They have specific data and information like showing that the story that was portrayed in this initial report from this publication called the Ark Republic is like not exactly right, and like explaining how they weren't consulted and didn't have a chance to talk, like give their side of the story. I don't know. This story is like gotten really twisted around. I think there's still more to learn about what happened here, and I hope we can stay on it.
Yeah, I'll definitely be following it.
Yeah, absolutely. Which brings us to the big story that we're talking about. And Adrian, it's so funny that you mentioned that you learned about this story when it went viral on TikTok, because that's what we're talking about. TikTok, the menace to our teens, or is it the sunny corner of the internet? No one can really make up their minds what it is. But the reason we're talking about it now is Denver has just banned city and county employees from using it on official devices. I assumed, it's because it's a huge time suck for everyone. At least it is for me. But it's really not about that. It's really about access to user data. So if you're not familiar with TikTok, it's a video sharing app. People can make videos and post them.
This is the dominant social media of today. This is the cultural force. Yeah. This is what people are talking about. Everyone knows what this app is. Either you tried it, you've seen one online, you've seen one reposted on the social network that you like.
Yep.
I'm sure everyone out there has an opinion about it.
Paul, what do you think? What's your experience with TikTok?
I've been keeping it at arm's length. I'm scared of it a little bit.
What? You're
scared of the power of TikTok.
What scares you? What about it scares you?
The algorithm. I've seen it suck people in. I've seen loved ones, friends. I've seen people just like sit and lose hours to it.
I too have lost time and loved ones to the algorithm.
You make this sound like being kidnapped by a UFO.
I mean, it does feel like kidnapping when you open the app and then all of a sudden you look up and it's been an hour and a half.
Yeah.
So they're definitely kidnapping your time.
Right. Well, some of the sinister aspect of it is that TikTok's parent company is a Chinese company called ByteDance. And because this tech firm is owned, is Chinese owned, that means it's subject to Chinese law, which means that if the Chinese government asks for data, they have to give it to them. Does that scare you, Adrian?
A little bit. I always assume that whatever I'm touching digitally, people are going to have my data. But I think in this case, it feels a little scary. We saw what happened with Russia in the previous 2 presidential elections and how they can influence some of our opinions.
Yes.
And so I think that's when it gets scary. It's not so much, I think, for me, you can have my data. I think they have it. But thinking about the things that they can utilize that data for in some dark ways. We've got another election coming up, a presidential election.
Yeah.
Yeah, personally, the China stuff is like the least worrisome aspect of it to me. Although I do have a bias here. I've always found China to be a fascinating country, a fascinating culture. So I've wanted to visit for many, many years. Never had a chance. I mean, maybe that's what the algorithm would feed me, Chinese propaganda, Chinese cooking videos. I don't know.
God,
I mean, those are good.
Give me the propaganda. But yeah, I just assume like all of our social networks do that with the American government, right? Like, aren't they all trading information, colluding, changing the way we feel about stuff, holding things back? I don't know. I just assume this is part of how the internet works.
Yeah, right. I mean, there was a 9 News story about this, and they talked to a tech guy that's here in Colorado, and he said what TikTok is collecting is not any different from what Facebook or Instagram, all of these social media apps collect on us all the time, Google. The difference is who owns it.
Yeah, I think there is a little bit of a sinister angle to this, and that we have these conversations a lot of whether it's Americans or certain type of countries. And so, again, we're collecting all of this data as a country from our citizens. But when it comes to a Chinese company or any other foreign power, then it becomes a conversation about public safety and cybersecurity.
Public defense. Yeah.
Yes.
Then it's a war thing. Then the whole machine starts up.
Yeah. But God forbid the Chinese have information on us.
Yeah.
But this is a local issue for us now. That's what I'm excited to talk about. I mean, this is an interesting new policy from the city of Denver. They banning it from public devices.
Yeah.
I was surprised to see this.
I was surprised that they might even have TikTok accounts. I don't know.
You think?
What jumped into my mind was the 30 Rock thing when Steve Buscemi is on, and he's apparently been an undercover police officer in a young-looking police officer squad going undercover. You know, how do you do, fellow kids?
Right. Right. Yeah.
I mean, Adrian, I know you're a TikTok guy.
Power user, as we call it.
Oh, a power user. Yeah. What do you have any thoughts on, state or government officials being on TikTok in the first place?
I don't like it. I don't care for it. I think I always scroll quickly. I don't want to be on that side of TikTok. I curate my algorithm very, very carefully. And so I know before we started, we were talking about Jared Polis being on TikTok and Jared Polis having the goofy local government fun guy vibe.
He's so
fun.
Goofy on there.
Dude, it's like your dad being on there, and I feel like, Dad, come on.
Yeah. I feel like they should be. I mean, TikTok is, like I said, it's like the thing that all the young people use now to get their information. Mm-hmm. And if you're not on there distributing information, you're missing out on an opportunity to reach people.
Yeah.
Like, it's a powerful platform. So I don't know. I was thinking about this, like, the government, the way that the city of Denver has justified this is a quote from 9 News from Ashley Bolton, the city's chief data and information security officer. She said they made the move after performing a risk assessment of the popular Chinese-owned app. Quote, if you just look at a risk versus reward, we thought the risk outweighed any reward. So what are the risks and rewards? I mean, the risks are city employees wasting time on there, getting sucked in. That's I don't know. That seems whatever.
Seems fair.
And then the Chinese security stuff, which everyone's gonna have their own opinion about. But the reward, just on our show in the past 2 years, we've featured Denverites who have made their livings, who have created careers off of TikTok.
Right.
A few that I've pulled out. Jonathan Stalls of the Pedestrian Dignity account. He has been a huge advocate for sidewalks. Would Denver deserve sidewalks if passed last year if it weren't for Jonathan Stalls?
Right.
Maybe. I don't know.
Good question.
It's kind of weird if no one from the city of Denver is watching his TikToks, isn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Another one, Styler Rising. Would their queer-friendly Metamorphosis gym be thriving without TikTok? It would not. It would not. That's a small business that's succeeding because of TikTok. Fashion Nation, another one. That alternative boutique.
Nation.
Yeah, exactly. They turn their whole business around because of TikTok.
Yeah, we had them on our show. That was a great episode to talk about would their business be thriving as it is without that account?
It frankly, it seems to me to be a little irresponsible for the city of Denver to be ignoring this platform.
Feels reactive. Mm-hmm. Certainly feels reactive. I think about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has her accounts. She's on TikTok. She's on Instagram. She's very active, and the amount of access that it gives voters, constituents to be inside and hear from these perspectives, whether you agree with her or not politically. I think to be able to hear from these folks on the inside and, maybe pull back the curtain a little bit.
It's undeniable. It's just undeniable how powerful it is. I mean, that's why Polis is there doing his goofball stuff, because he knows that's how you reach some people.
And he seems to have zero appetite for banning it at the state level, at least so far.
That's good to know. Interesting.
I want to talk about the politics of this because I find it a little bit revealing who wants to ban TikTok. I mean, it seems like 27 states and their governments have banned it in some fashion, either an outright, from government devices. Mostly Republicans. Mm-hmm. Mostly Republicans. And in fact, in Colorado, Ken Buck, who's a Republican congressman, he was the first of Colorado's congressional delegation to kind of get on board with this. Right.
Interesting. Yeah, I could be. I mean, the medium is the message, as they say, right?
Yeah.
I mean, for these Republicans that are so against TikTok because of they don't want China to have our data or whatever, they're missing out on this platform to connect with people. So I guess it puts politicians in a kind of a curious position. Like, what do you choose? Do you choose to try to reach young people where they're at and where they're listening? Or do you try to make a point about information security and global politics? Because you really can't do both.
Exactly.
That's right. But there is another member of Colorado's congressional delegation who is now coming out in favor of a ban. I thought I'd play you a little bit. This is Senator Michael Bennet talking with Michelle Martin of NPR.
Well, what worries me the most about TikTok is that over 100 million Americans are using it, 80 minutes or 82 minutes a day. That's roughly 3 hours a week. And the obligations of TikTok's parent company, ByteDance, under Chinese law requires it at a moment's notice when Beijing asks for it, demands it, to share any data that it has acquired on the site. I think that could force TikTok to surrender sensitive data from Americans, tweak its algorithm to advance the interests of the Chinese Communist Party, and I think that's bad for the United States. China is pursuing a China-first policy by any means necessary, licit or illicit, and the question for the United States, I think, whether it's about TikTok or anything else, is whether we're content to be collateral damage.
It's a Democrat switching sides on this issue. That's what that sounds like to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, he is on the Senate Intelligence Committee, which makes me wonder, what do you know that we don't know?
Perhaps.
That's interesting. One thing I learned from that is that my usage of TikTok is way above average. Mine is not 3 hours a week, I'll tell you that.
Okay. That's 3 hours in one night.
I mean, in one sitting.
Yeah. I mean, is this just like the new Cold War? Is it China and TikTok battling for the hearts, minds, and eyes of our young people? I don't know.
It's interesting to me that he says, what is the term he used? Sensitive American data information.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe he knows something I don't know, but what makes it sensitive?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's above my pay grade.
Your eye movements, you're like, what are you interested in? You're like,
I just don't think I'm that
your
important, Paul.
tastes.
I don't think that they're going to look at my account and go, we need this. The way he moves his eyes is really important.
Yeah. I think in the aggregate, I think he does have a point. I mean, it is worrisome knowing that by using the app, you're submitting yourself to this thing that is so powerful and that it can be twisted and turned to change your mind, to give you information to make you think certain things about,
Yeah. But then again, it brings me back to why don't we have those conversations about the way the U.S. government keeps some of that data, the amount of data that Meta/Facebook is collecting on folks is also a little scary. And I think if we're going to have the conversation, we should have it about all of it.
Yeah, that's a great point. I agree.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
Absolutely.
I don't know. Well, maybe it's better, for all of us, for our productivity and our well-being if it gets banned. I really don't think that's going to happen. And in fact, I want to clarify that Senator Bennet is not calling for a ban of it on devices. He's asking Google and Apple to pull it from their app stores. I guess the end result would be the same, though.
It would sound similar.
Yeah.
I guess you could still access it on a browser.
Yeah, is that the difference, that you just wouldn't be able to have an app, so it would make it harder to access it?
I guess. Fewer people
I
would
would
do
just
it.
be carrying my laptop all the time and listen to TikTok out loud.
I mean, the Chinese government still could get the data if you use it on.
Yeah. I got to say, I feel bad for TikTok CEO. He's prepping to be on Capitol Hill next month for some kind of hearing. I'm sure it's going to be a relentless grilling. He did meet with Senator Bennet, by the way. And I think they had a productive conversation, but then after that, Bennet said, nah, I think Apple and Google should pull it. So
Interesting. Oh, I'll be watching that one.
yeah, we're going to reach out to Senator Bennett's office. We'd really like to hear from him on this issue.
I'd love to hear what else concerns him, and maybe some more details on why that data is so sensitive and how it can be used. I'm sure he can only share a little bit of it, but as a power user, I'm a bit concerned. That's where I get all my news. I always joke that I show up to parties and I don't say I saw it on TikTok. I read an article. It's really interesting. I read an article about the ranchers in South Colorado. No, I didn't read an article. I watched it on TikTok.
I have gotten many useful cleaning hacks from TikTok, so my house might be dirtier, but maybe we'll be safer. All right. Well, no guarantees that this is going to happen, but if we do get Senator Bennett on the show, if you have questions for him or a message for him maybe about your favorite TikTok superstars, please text us or leave us voicemail. You can do that at 720-500-5418. That's, again, 720-500-5418. We're going to take a quick break. We will be right back with something else.
This episode is brought to you by the How to Buy a Home podcast. Literally, it's like at a standstill, to be honest with you. There's houses all over the city that have been sitting for months and months. Really good ones. It's confusing, though, because the interest rates or whatever. But that's why I keep recommending the How to Buy a Home podcast. Host David Sidoni has years of experience helping first-time homebuyers close on houses they thought were impossible, even as the housing market gets crazy. His How to Buy a Home podcast is a free resource that breaks down what you need to know to make home buying a reality. He answers questions like, do you really need to put 20% down? The answer is no. Most people only put down like 3.5%. David can guide you through the next steps that are right for you. He can even connect you with a great realtor right here in Denver that works with first-time homebuyers and actually cares about you. Start listening to the How to Buy a Home podcast today at howtobuyahome.com or wherever you listen to podcasts. If you have questions, you can ask David directly at howtobuyahome.com. Visit howtobuyahome.com and make this the last year you rent.
Okay, we're back, and we're here to talk about a handful of stories that maybe didn't get as much attention as some of the big news items did this week, but we feel they should have. So, Paul, what do you got?
Me first? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, mine is a little bit silly, but also a little bit scary. Prairie dogs.
What's scary about prairie dogs? Nothing. They're adorable.
You think they're adorable?
Yes.
I feel like people have mixed opinions about prairie
Really?
dogs.
I love them.
You
But
love
again,
them.
I don't have them in my backyard, so
True.
maybe
All right.
that's the...
Well, this story, then you two, I don't know how you're going to feel about it, because
Okay.
the prairie dogs are under attack. According to reporter David Heitz at Newsbreak, there has been a years-long war between development and aurora growing on the eastern plains and prairie dog habitats. And apparently a lot of people don't really respect the prairie dogs, think of them more as rodents. So we just build these buildings and there's no real consideration for the prairie dogs. So 2 Aurora city councilors this week have reportedly drafted legislation that would require developers to relocate prairie dogs instead of slaughtering them, which they have been doing.
Oh,
I don't like thinking about that.
Do you want to hear how they do it?
sure.
Not really, but I think we should know.
Okay. We don't have to. It's pretty grisly.
I think, yeah.
Well, this is actually the more humane method. So the bill says that when there's no suitable option for relocation, developers must utilize humane methods for extermination that don't pose a risk to other wildlife. That means in-burrow lethal control using carbon monoxide in the form of pressurized exhaust.
That is a lot of fancy words for gassing them out.
Gassing them out.
Wow.
Gas
awful.
into the holes.
That's terrible.
That's the humane thing that they want. That's the more humane thing than they're doing now.
Wow.
What are they doing now? Like, what's the less humane way?
I don't know. My mind
Okay.
races with possibilities of what's happening to these prairie dogs.
All right.
Poor prairie dogs.
I mean, why? I would think relocating them would be easier than this, and you could sleep at night.
Hey, who knows?
Is this a cost thing? Is it cheaper to just emissions
Gas
them out of there? Oh my god!
Ignore them, pretend they're not there.
Yeah. Do they create some kind of hazard? Is that it?
That's my question is what's
yeah.
the issue of having them around?
I talked to my wife about this. She grew up here, and she said that the one thing that people up in northern Colorado would always complain about prairie dogs for doing is creating these holes that were really easy for horses to get their feet stuck in.
Right.
And so like a horse would break their leg, and then what would happen with the horse?
Okay.
That's a great point.
Yeah, that's a good point. But I mean, how many people are riding on horses now around,
Around eastern Aurora.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I will say when my husband and I moved to Colorado, to Greeley in 2009, we were waiting for the moving truck to arrive, and I legitimately saw a woman ride down the street on a horse.
Oh, yeah?
I just thought, oh my gosh, I am in Colorado. Here we are.
Colorado.
That's
Yeah.
my
maybe.
dream. I would love to
Yeah.
have a horse and ride in here into Westward.
Yeah.
I don't think there's horse parking at
There's
the
no
Westward.
hitching post.
I mean, not enough.
I do have the hats and boots for it.
You do. All you need is the horse.
Yes.
Yeah. I
All
love
hat,
that.
no cattle.
Yeah. Where's this going? I mean, are they going to like step up their efforts to relocate these poor little adorable?
Well, some prairie dogs are adapting to the urban environment, apparently. There are some spots like parks and open spaces in Aurora where they've lived and thrived. But it sounds like the more development grows, the more of these prairie dog habitats are just going to get pushed out further and further.
That's an interesting conversation to me. I think we're so focused on ourselves as humans and growing that we have no middle ground of how do we grow around the existing ecosystem. It's these spiders are on my way, these prairie dogs are in our way. Why don't we just gas them out?
Yeah.
I just like to be comfortable in my house.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I think that's an interesting conversation. I agree that it's an interesting conversation. I mean, there was another detail that jumps to mind. It's like, I don't know if there is an ecosystem. There's no like natural pre-human state left. Like we've affected everything. That's how I feel about it. And there was this example about the black-footed ferrets that they've been raising and trying to bring back from the brink of extinction at the Rocky Mountain Arsenal.
Yeah.
Apparently, black-footed ferrets prey on prairie dogs. So this is a really good place for black-footed ferrets to rebuild their numbers because there's so many prairie dogs.
Yeah.
That's how they're thinking about balancing the ecosystem. So some of the developers, some people who are talking about this new bill in Aurora are talking about bring the black-footed ferrets in to start getting rid of the prairie dogs.
kind of restore a little bit of that
Get
natural
some
balance.
Exactly.
I'm into that. I'm into that. It
Yeah.
reminds me of the wolf reintroduction that we've been talking about for years. I think in restoring some of the natural habitats. I just don't think that that's a good avenue to start off killing animals because they're inconvenient. I feel like you start to mess with the rest of the system, and there's no way to equalize it. I mean, if you've been watching The Last of Us, I keep saying we are the parasites.
True.
As soon as the Earth gets rid of us, I think
Yeah.
everything else will thrive.
The earth will go on.
All right, let's move on to prairie dogs. We don't have to talk about prairie dogs. Who else wants to go next?
I can because mine is fun and it's going to make you forget all about the sadness. Here's what I thought was underreported. Colorado has now an official state aroma.
Okay.
I guess maybe I should say it's an unofficial state aroma. I haven't heard Governor Polis talk about it or anything but like that. But I guess this all started when New Mexico decided, okay, we want to determine what our state aroma is, and they ultimately decided it's the smell of roasted green chili. Which,
Great pick.
yeah.
Great pick.
10 out of
Number
10.
one draft pick. Take
Yeah.
that off the board first.
Right.
Good
Right.
move, New
Yeah.
Mexico.
I mean,
Highly agree.
that could have been Colorado's too, but I think they beat us to the punch. So Axios Denver surveyed.
Can we guess?
Yes, of course.
Oh, what's your
Okay,
guess, Paul?
what do you think?
Something about skiing or oil. The Greeley smell, maybe? Ranching?
Oh,
Okay,
see, I'm
ranching.
somewhere in there. I think my two guesses would be the Purina dog chow, so like dog food or weed.
Yeah.
Those are my two guesses.
Maybe those two together. That's the Denver smell.
Right.
Some
Special
mixing.
Adrian, you got it. It's weed.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say
It's
the
weed.
dog food.
Weed feels right, too.
Yeah, weed
makes
feels
sense.
right.
It's a very distinctive smell.
Hopefully people are not upset about it. I think it's a very pleasant smell. Have either of you ever heard it called Colorado cologne?
Never, but
Okay.
I'm into this.
You know how all the articles that when people are coming to visit you in Denver, they're like, "Oh, I saw this article about terms that will make you sound like a Denverite." And one is if
Colorado cologne.
like I have never heard anyone
Oh, my God.
call it Colorado cologne, but yeah,
I bet Jared Polis would call it that. It sounds like something that'll be on his TikTok
I
pretty
know.
soon.
If we start it, we could make this a thing.
So, Aaron, who chose this unofficial scent?
This was, again, Axios Denver surveyed people. I'm not sure how many responses they got. How scientific is it? Probably about as much as the Bachelorette destination. A couple of the runner-ups. One was the smell of pine, the crisp snow air, and another was hops and brewing. And that is
another good one.
Yeah, those are both good.
a distinctive smell, too.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, yeah. What do you think? Does marijuana kind of sum up the smell?
I mean, yeah.
Would you pick something else?
I want to hear if listeners have better answers.
Yeah.
I would love to know what y'all think.
Let us know.
Yeah, text us or leave us a voicemail at 720-500-5418 if you got a better if you can top weed for what our state smell should be.
Yeah. Then we
Send
want to
us
hear
your
it.
smells.
The odor hotline, 720-500-5418. Adrian, hit us with your underreported story of the week.
All right. Mine is not about smells, but it is about animals. So we've been talking about the avian flu and the effect that it's had on eggs. I've really enjoyed some of the memes. I haven't enjoyed the prices of eggs, but the CDPHE has actually been warning folks that we should be not touching dead birds because the avian flu, while there is a low risk of transmitting the avian flu to humans and house pets, there is still a risk. And so they're encouraging folks, if you see a dead bird, don't go near it. If even a live bird, they might be infected and you might not know, which actually alarmed me because on my walk the other day, I saw a dead crow, went to take a picture of it. Longer conversation for another day. I love crows. They're beautiful birds. And
Yes,
it was
they
just, I thought it had been injured. They had no injury. I did kick it over with my foot just to see if it was still alive. And then I took a picture. Then I read that we were not supposed to touch these dead birds, which I've always known. I don't really go around touching dead birds.
No.
Okay. I thought that's what we were leading to. You're sad that you're not supposed to touch any more dead birds.
No, but I do love bird watching. I enjoy the birds, and now I feel a little bit afraid to even be near them. But the CDPHE does say that transmission is very low against humans or house pets, but you should still be careful. And if you have any, they have a list of symptoms. They're essentially respiratory systems that if you start feeling them, you've been around a bird, be sure to watch out for symptoms.
Yeah, that's tough. I know if you have kids, kids love to touch everything. So that is definitely something to be on the lookout for.
Aaron, how about you? You touching a lot of dead birds?
I mean, not lately. So
Live ones?
Yeah. No. No. I've actually... I don't have backyard chickens either, but I think this is probably a concern too. What about birds flying into your backyard coop? I mean, that seems like something out of your control.
Yeah, I think there's a part about touching birds. Dr. Rachel Hurley is the state.
Dr. Hurley.
Hurley, yeah. Thank you for helping me with the pronunciation. She's a state epidemiologist.
Yeah.
And she says, quote, "The risk to humans is low, but avian flu is widespread in birds throughout the state right now. It is important to avoid wild birds and not handle or transport any sick, dead, or dying birds."
Good to know.
Yeah.
Paul,
good
is
policy.
this something you need to watch out for?
Also, no, not
Okay.
doing a lot of dead bird touching. But I also a bird fan. We've had some nice northern flickers come through the park near my house lately.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, they're picking grubs off the ground. That's a beautiful bird.
I saw an eagle the other day, you guys.
Oh, cool.
A huge bald eagle near the rec center, and I just was like in awe. I've just never been up that close. I didn't touch it, though. Now I'm extra glad that I did not. So. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we are going to have some great ideas for you to do this weekend and crown one the champion. All right, we're back. It's time for the official CityCast Denver maybe for your weekend, as in maybe you'll see us there, because as usual, there are so many cool things happening in Denver this weekend. Too many cool things, and we have opinions. Adrian, you round up your best bets all the time in our newsletter, Hey Denver. You're here now with a special list for us to choose from. What do you got?
I've got four events for you. One I'm really excited about. You guys know I love movies.
Yes.
I love any kind of movie, documentaries. And one of my favorite theaters in town was the IMAX theater inside of the Museum of Nature and Science, which has been closed for some time now for renovations.
Okay.
Well, it's reopening tonight, and they're throwing a free VIP party so you could see the whole new facelift.
Nice.
They're going to play. So they have a new lobby entrance, new furnishings, and a whole new sound system. If you've ever been in there and watched the movie, the sound wasn't really the best part of it.
It was not.
And
Yeah.
so I'm really excited to see it. They have 2D and 3D capabilities. And really what they're touting is that they've made these facelifts so that they could play bigger movies, whether they're old Hollywood movies, nature documentaries, and have a better plethora of movies to choose from.
Man.
This is awesome.
Yeah.
I'm so excited about that.
Nature on the big screen is incredible. I love space, footage, documentaries on the big screen. This is the biggest screen of all.
This DMNS new IMAX screen.
It's called an Infinity Theater. I don't think it's an IMAX theater
Okay.
now, but it's a better theater, not IMAX. But they're going to have popcorn, sodas, wine, and a special surprise.
What could that
This
be?
is for the VIP party tonight?
Yeah, tonight, 6 to 8 p.m. It's
Okay.
free and open to anyone. You can show up and check
Automatic
out the new theater.
Automatic VIP status. I like that.
Dang, that's a really good
Okay,
one.
all
That's
right.
going to be hard to beat.
Yeah.
What else you got,
Oh,
Adrian?
that's a fun one. Well, this one's for the vinyl record lovers. If you're into vinyl, a local company, Vinyl Me Please, is throwing their annual Rocky Mountain Record Show, February 18th and 19th, so Saturday and Sunday. So
Okay.
essentially, they have an open. It's at the Sports Castle downtown, so you
Very cool.
know any event there is big and fun. And they have a ton of records that you can choose from, new ones, vintage ones. So if you're a collector, this is the place to be, man. It is free to enter. So you could just show up at 11 a.m., I believe, on both days and just come in, check out what they have, and buy some merch, some vinyl. Or if you're really a true collector, you can pay extra. You can pay $25 and get 2 hours extra before everyone else is let in.
Oh,
Before everyone
That's
else
for the
chooses all the good records.
Real collectors. If you're looking
Yeah.
for something special, I guess.
that's a bargain. Are you a turntable guy, Paul?
Not even a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Not a big physical
Really?
media guy.
I would imagine you would be.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
What
just
about
never
you?
been that important to me.
Huh.
Wow.
Are you?
I love vinyls. I don't, I'm not a huge collector yet, but I'm a big fan.
Yeah. I'm not a collector, but I have held on to my childhood records, my teenage I got a lot of vinyl.
I really buy into that. The sound, I really buy into that. You can really sell me a lot of weird things if you tell me it's going to sound better. Do I really know the difference? A little bit, but not really.
I think it sounds better.
But this is a fun one for the record collectors.
Yes.
If you're more into the video games, the next one is probably for you. We have a Mario Kart tournament going on at Spangalang. So this is happening every Saturday at Spangalang Brewery in 5 Points.
Okay.
You show up and you can play.
Interesting.
You can show up in the afternoons, Saturday afternoons, and play Mario Kart on Nintendo, Nintendo Switch, the Wii, Sega, and Nintendo 64. So
Do they say which version of Mario Kart?
they don't say. I think they have several ones.
Okay.
Why are
Interesting.
you a true an OG?
you
there
know
are
that there are
different-
different versions. I didn't even know that. though.
Yeah, there's over the years they've had different consoles come out and they make a
Right.
new one for each console, so the technology gets a little better. The ones that I've spent the most time with are the 64 one and then the current one for the Switch, which is perfect. I don't know how they're going to improve on this current
Really?
Mario
I haven't
Kart.
played that one, so I'll have to try it.
Yeah,
I'll
it's
have to go
like
to
10
Spangalang.
years old. They keep updating it, but it's
Yeah.
great.
Can you sit in a beanbag chair to play here? Like that would be the thing that would make it perfect.
Yeah, I don't think
That
they have
would be fun.
beanbags, but maybe you can bring your own. We'll see. What are
like-
they going to say? No.
Tournaments. Seems that I'm into that. I like that. All right, what else? What's the fourth one?
All right, the
Adrian?
fourth one is for the bread lovers. If you like carbs, this is the one for you. Ruby's Market is starting also a weekly, what they're calling bread bodega. And so every Saturday they're going to showcase bakers from here, local bakers from around town, from around the world, and you can come and buy your favorite loaf of sourdough, a lot of good pastries. So if you're into breads, man, Saturday mornings at Ruby's Market.
Where's Ruby's Market? I'm not familiar with this place.
It's in Platt Park.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't know exactly where it is. I've actually never been to the physical location, but I do follow them on Instagram, and their Instagram, highly recommend. It's on 15 and Pearl. It's Platt
Okay.
Park.
That's a nice area to walk around. Have a little pastry, have a
Yeah.
coffee, morning walk.
Yeah, go shop for some vintage stuff. There's some good shops out there.
It's going to be nice on Saturday morning. Good
Oh,
good
is
time
it?
for that.
Thank
yeah.
God. I'm
Yeah.
so tired of the snow.
I know.
I'm
right?
ready.
Carbs have been, I would say, unfairly targeted for a while. They're back, clearly, because we have this weekly bread bodega, and that's kind of tempting. I don't know.
Carbs are
Wait.
back.
Carbs are
CBS
back. You heard it
Denver
here
says
first.
carbs
I-
are back.
I know for some people they never left. This is tough. Adrian, this is tough. This is a really varied list. I don't know. I'm a vinyl lover. What do you
I'm
guys
not
think?
going to the vinyl.
Okay.
Not
Yeah,
even a maybe for me. That's just a no. I'm not going to the
You could
sports
just
council.
download something on Spotify.
Yeah.
You don't know the thrill of combing through the endless bins of vinyl, the crates and crates, looking for something
He's
good.
not sold. I don't
No.
know.
Okay.
I mean, the movie theater, I could go that way.
Yep.
I could go that way. Video games, Mario Kart, I could go that way as well. The bread, though, Ruby's Market. That might
Locally
be my
baked.
favorite
Yeah.
of
Fresh.
these.
I could lean that way. It's between that and the Denver Museum of Nature and Science.
Adrian, between those
Yeah.
two,
Yeah.
I would do the bread. That's my choice. I love bread. I love pastries. I'm not really into sweets, but I do love bread, man.
Yeah.
Sourdough. I would try every single version of sourdough in this world if I could.
Hell yeah. I think that's it. Carbs are back.
Carbs are back.
They're back, baby. And they've won us over this week. All right, I think we've got a winner. That's it. Our official CityCast Denver maybe for your weekend. You will see us stuffing our faces with bread, perhaps. But hey, there's way more where that came from. Adrian always has plenty of recommendations in our newsletter, Hey Denver, which you can subscribe to right now. Very easy to do. Text Denver to 66866. All right, Adrian, Paul, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks, Aaron.
Thanks, Aaron. Thanks, Paul.
That's all for today here on CityCast Denver. Our producers this week were me, Aaron O'Toole, Paul Caroli, Lizzie Goldsmith, and J.D. Lopez. Adrian Gonzalez writes our morning newsletter. Our host, Bree Davies, will be back next week. Our music is by Los Mocachetes, with additional mixing by Tyler Lindgren. If you haven't already, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, follow us on Twitter at CityCast Denver, and tell your favorite TikToker about us the next time you see them. You can sign up for our daily newsletter, Hey Denver, by texting Denver to 66866 and learn more about us at denver.citycast.fm. Remember, no new episode on Monday. See you back in your feed on Tuesday. I know. You'll never know how CityCast feels about macronutrients now. Too bad. You're going to have to wonder.